Hello prepsters, so welcome to the new video wherein we'll be discussing about cognizant aptitude questions. So in this particular video we'll be discussing about the difficulty and we'll try to solve practice questions which are based on the syllabus that is asked in cognizant, right? Definitely these are not the actual questions from cognizant or not even similar questions. These are actually the practice set questions which are from the similar pattern of syllabus that is asked in cognizant. So let us not waste much time over here. Let us start solving the questions, and meanwhile in between we'll see a lot of important things and important pointers that you guys should know. One important thing that I'll announce over here is the top 3 comments on this particular video will get the online class for Capgemini or the Capgemini Prime video course for free. So make sure that you keep commenting, be it a doubt or anything that you want to ask or any suggestions for us or any feedback for us. Could be anything, but yes, if it is one of the top 3, we'll give you the giveaway as the free online class or the Prime video course for Cognizant. So the first question is already on your screen. It says a conductor undertakes to do a piece of work in 40 days. He engages 100 men at the beginning and 100 more after 35 days and completes the work in a stipulated time. If he had not engaged the additional men, how many days behind schedule would it be finished? Honestly speaking, a very easy question. I'm giving you 30 seconds over here and your timer starts now. All right. So it says a conductor undertakes to do a piece of work in 40 days. So he is supposed to complete the work in 40 days. He engages 100 men at the beginning and 100 more after 35 days. So for the first 35 days, how many workers were there? 100. And after 35 days, he gets 100 more so that he completes the work in stipulated time. So what was the stipulated time? 40 days. So that means from 0 to 35 days, 100 workers are working, and from 36 to 40, that is 5 days, 100 plus 100 workers worked. So that the work was completed in the stipulated time of 40 days. Yes? The question is, if he had not engaged the additional men, how many days behind the schedule would it be finished? Now guys, tell me one thing. Whatever amount of work this 100 men completed in 35 days, let it be. You had some X amount of work left, right? That work was completed by 200 men in 5 days. Yes? If there were not 200 men and there were only 100 men, so the same work, if 200 men can complete in 5 days, 100 men would complete in 2 times 5 days. That is 10 days. So in that case, how much days would have been? So 35 plus 45, 10. So that means 45 days would have needed to complete the work if there were only 100 labors included from 0 to the end of the work. No 100 extra workers would have been added. So 45 days. So how many days behind the schedule would it be finished? 5 days behind the schedule. The language of the question was tough. They tried to confuse you, but the question was not really tough. It was very easy and very easy to solve. I hope this is clear, right? Okay, moving on to the next question from Mixtures and Allegation. It says a dairyman pays rupees 6.40 per liter of milk. He adds water and sells the mixture at rupees 8 per liter, thereby making 37.5% profit. The proportion of water to milk received by the customers is. So I'm giving you guys a minute's time over here to think, solve and calculate and give me the answer. Your timer for a minute starts now. Okay, guys. So first of all, a dairyman pays rupees 6.40 per liter of milk. So what is happening here is, let me tell you the scenario first. He bought milk at 6.40. Right? This is the cost price of his milk, actually, that he bought. This milk, in this milk he added water. Right? So that became a mixture. Right? So there would be some cost price for his mixture. Even if water is, let's say, 0 per liter. But if let's say he bought 10 liters of milk for 6.40 and he mixed 2 liters of water. So now so he paid for 10 liters, he paid 64 rupees, but that became 12 liters for him. So his cost price actually deducted. So there is some cost price. On this cost price, he wants to make a profit of 37.5% and he's selling it for rupees 8 per liter. So actually there is one cost price of the mixture. This is the cost price of the pure milk. Got the scenario? So the selling price of the mixture is 8 per liter. The profit is 37.5. So let us find the cost price of the mixture. What would be the cost price of the mixture? CP would be 100 upon 100 plus 37.5 into SP, that is 8. On calculating, you will get the answer as 5.82. So this would be the cost price of the resultant mixture. Cool. Now for this mixture, what did he do? He mixed water, which was 0 per liter. He mixed milk, that was 6.40, and he got a mixture that was 5.82. So that is the mixture, the cost price of the mixture. That is what the mean price. So what is D minus M, guys? D minus M is 0.58 and M minus C is 5.82. You have to find the proportion of water to milk. So very easy, right? This is D minus M, this is M minus C, this is D, this is M, this is C, this is M. So we know that by the rule of alligations, D minus M upon M minus C would be quantity of cheaper, that is quantity of water, upon quantity of dearer, that is quantity of milk. So we have to find the proportion of water to milk, right? So that is what we are finding here. So what is D minus M? D minus M is 0.58 upon M minus C is 5.82 is QW upon QM, which is nothing but 1 by 10. So in what ratio or the proportion water to milk is been received by customer? That is 1:10. Got it, guys? I hope this is clear, right? See, the one thing that you might be confused here is with the rule of alligations, right? If not, make sure you reach out to us in the comment section. If we get a lot of queries, we'll definitely make another video for you guys only explaining the mixtures and alligations theory and concept, right? Though we have already done that in the Prime Video courses and in any other courses that we take for you guys. All right. A question from equation on your screen. Could be a question from some other topic as well. That is why I've not given the options over here. Try to think about it. Try to recall your class 10, 11 and 12 and you would be able to get an answer. I'm giving you a minute's time because you have to actually think here. Your timer for a minute starts now. Okay, guys. So the question is 4 power x minus 2 is given as 3 power x plus 4. To solve such questions, guys, the best thing is to use logarithms. So as we do right on an equation on the left and the right hand side, don't we do squaring on both the sides, dividing on both the sides by 2? Similar way we can also use taking log on both the sides. So we are taking log to the base 10 on both the sides. I'm not writing the base here. So I've taken log on both the sides. Cool. Now, how many of you are aware of this property of logarithm? Logarithm of a to the power x to the base 10. Even they have the base 10, right? Let me just write it for you, not confuse you. In such case, this can be written as, so whenever this is raised to some power x, this power can be shifted before the log. That is one of the properties of logarithm. So this can be written as x log of a to the base 10. Applying the same here, this can be written as x minus 2 log of 4 to the base 10 is equal to x plus 4 log of 3 to the base 10. What I'm doing here is I'm shifting the terms which have x on the left hand side and terms which are constant on the right hand side. So x log 4 minus x log 3 should be equal to 4 log 3 plus 2 log 4. So which is basically x log 4 by 3. Another property of logs, right? Log of a plus log of b is log ab, and similarly log of a minus log of b is log of a by b. So this is the property that we have used here. Similarly, now this property can be used vice versa as well, right? Using that here, so this can be written as log of 3 power 4, and this can be written as log of 4 to the power 2, and using this property again, so this will be written as log of 3 power 4 into log of 4 whole square. So from here, what would be the value of x, guys? X would be nothing but log of 3 power 4 into 4 square upon log of 4 by 3. That is your answer for log. Even in the option you have this value. Not given the option over here. I just tried to be a bit smart. Right? Moving on to the next question then. Alright, a question from probability on your screen. I'm giving you guys 2 minutes of time here. This is a really interesting question. I'm giving you guys 2 minutes over here to think about this particular question, and your timer for 2 minutes starts now. All right, guys. So, talking about the question, it says, doctor have devised a test for lepto that has the following property. For any person suffering from lepto, there is a chance of test. There is a 90% chance of test turning positive. So, person or patient having lepto and test positive. What is the probability of that, guys? 90% chance of test turning positive. For any person who's suffering from lepto, there is a chance of 90% chance of the test turning positive. So let us say person having lepto test positive, what is the probability? 0.9. So similarly in this case then, person having lepto and test negative would be 0.1. For a person having lepto, the chances that his test will turn positive is 0.9. So person not having lepto, his chances that the test would come negative would be 0.1. Okay, let me write it a little neat for you. So similarly, patient having lepto test negative would be 0.1. Similarly, for a person not suffering from lepto, there is a chance, 80% chance of test turning negative. Patient no lepto and test negative is 0.8. These are all probabilities that we are talking about. So person having no lepto and test positive is 0.2. Got it? So these are the 4 scenarios. For a person having lepto test positive, for a person having lepto test negative, for a person not having lepto and test negative, for a person not having lepto and test positive. So these are all the possible scenarios that are applicable. Our question is, it is known that 10% of people who go for testing have lepto. So the persons who go for testing, 10% have lepto. So that means 90% do not have lepto. Now, this is the actual question from here. If a person who gets tested positive result for lepto, what is the probability that they actually have lepto? If a person who tested gets positive result for lepto, first find it out. Let us say a person go and he's tested positive. We're just finding that right now. So what would be the probability that a person is tested positive? There are 2 probabilities like that, right? First is this. When a person is having lepto and is tested positive, and when a person is not having lepto but is tested positive. So what is the probability of a person being tested positive? 0.9 into. Why this 0.1, guys? This came from here. Because of the person who are going for testing, only 10% have lepto. So that means 0.1% have lepto and they test positive, the probability is 0.9 plus. So if 10% have lepto, 90% will not have lepto. So 0.9 is the probability of person not having lepto out of those who go for testing into 0.2 probability that they will be tested positive from this scenario. So what is the chances of a person actually being tested positive? Whether he is positive or whether he is negative. But the probability of him turning positive is 0.27 from here. Our question was, if a person who gets tested positive for lepto, so what is the probability? 0.27. What is the probability that they actually have lepto? So actually have lepto, isn't this the scenario? This is the case where the person actually had lepto and he was tested positive. So that was 0.9 into 0.1. So what would be your answer, guys? The probability would be basically the favorable outcomes upon the possible outcomes. Possible outcomes are 0.2. So your answer is 1 by 3. If you still have doubts, I know a lot of people will have doubt in this. And if you still have doubt, you can definitely come back in the comment section and me and my team will definitely help you out. Okay. Talking about a question from number system or remainders, whatever you call it. I'm giving you guys a minute's time over here to find out the answer, and your timer starts now. So guys, the best way to solve such problems is just note down and just remind this particular way that I'm gonna teach you over here. The best way to solve such questions. So whenever you get a question like find the greatest 4-digit number, 5-digit number, x-digit number, which when divided by some numbers leaves 2 as remainder. So divided by 3, 5, 8 and 12, right? Leaves 2 as remainder. So what you have to do is subtract 2 from all of them. So 1, 3, 6 and 10, right? Whatever was the divisor, I have subtracted the remainder from it. Now take the LCM of this 4, LCM of 1, 3, 6 and 10. What would be the LCM of 1, 3, 6 and 10, guys? That is gonna be 30. Yes. So you got the LCM as 30. Now what you have to do is, so what is the greatest 5-digit number, guys? 99999. Yes. So divide 99999 by 30. So 3 times 30, 3 times, 90, 99 again 3 times 99, so on. At the end, you will get a remainder as 9 from here. Cool. So tell me one thing, if you are dividing some number and you are getting a remainder, so does not that mean that this minus 9, which is 99990, would be a number that would be perfectly divisible by 30? Yes or no? So 99990 would be perfectly divisible by 30. So that means it will be perfectly divisible by 1, 3, 6 and 10. Yes. Now we have to find a number which leaves 2 as a remainder. So just add 2 with this. This 99991 was leaving remainder as 9. So we subtracted 9 to get the number which exactly is divisible by this. So now just add 2. So 99992 would be your answer. So this is a number which is divisible by 3, 5, 8 and 12 and leaves remainder 2 behind. Yes. So this is the way, guys. First subtract the remainder from the numbers, find the LCM, divide the number, find the exact number which is divisible by the LCM, and then add the remainder to the final number and you will get your answer, right? Alright, moving on to the next question, which says, what is the units digit in 6817 power 754? I'm giving you guys 30 seconds over here and your timer starts now. So guys, this is a very simple question. I just wanted to teach you what is cyclicity rule. So how many of you know about cyclicity rule, guys? Okay, let me tell you. Guys, what is 2 power 1? 2. 2 square is 4. 2 cube is 8. 2 power 4 is 16, so the last digit is 6. 2 power 5 is 32, so the last digit is 2. 2 power 6 is 64, so the last digit is 4. Can you see a trend over here? 2, 4, 8, 6. Again 2, 4. The next would be 128, right? So 8. Again the next would be 256, so 6. Can you see a cycle over here? That after every 4 powers of 2, the units digit would be repeating each other. 2, 4, 8, 6, 2, 4, 8, 6 and so on. So in larger numbers, it is definite that the units digit will come from the units digit, right? That is 7 here. So now let's talk about the cyclicity of 7. So what is the cyclicity of 7? What is 7 power 1? You can find the cyclicity for anything, right? 7 power 1 is 7. 7 square is 49, so the last digit is 9. 7 cube is 343, so the last digit is 3. 7 power 4 is 2401, so the last digit is 1. Again 7 power 5, the last digit would be 7. So it has again started repeating each other. So the cyclicity for 7 is 4. So we know that for every 4 power, the power would be 7931, 7931 and so on. Here the power is 754. So let us see how many complete cycles are there. So how do we check it? We'll divide 754 because this is the power, right? We'll divide 754 by 4. So 1 times 3. So 4. 3 is the remainder. So 35. 8 4s are 32. So 34. Again 8 4s are 32. So the remainder would be 2. So in 754 power, there would be 88 complete cycle. That means 7931, 7931, 7931, 88 times. And then there is a remainder of 2. So that means the units digit would be 9. If the remainder would have been 3, unit would have been 3. If the remainder would have been 4, the remainder cannot be 4, guys, because the cyclicity is 4. If the remainder is 4, that means you have done something wrong in the division, right? So if the remainder is 1, the units place would have been 7. So what would be the remainder here, guys? 7 power 754, the remainder would be nothing. The last digit would be basically 9. Very important to know the cyclicity rule, guys. A lot of time you get direct questions from here and a lot of you skip it because you have no idea. You get scared of, oh my god, how am I gonna find 754 power of 6817? Alright, a tricky question from CP and SP, that is profit and loss. You can solve it your way, but I'll give you a very interesting way to solve this particular question. Let me first give you 30 seconds to solve this particular question, and then I'll definitely get back to you and give you a very amazing way of solving this particular problem. So your timer for 30 seconds starts now. Alright guys, so this is a very standard type of question which has been repeated again and again in the exam. It says the selling price of an article, by selling an article for rupees 144, a man gained such that the percentage gain equals the cost price. So that means if the CP is X, the gain is X percentage. Yes. At SP is 144. So how normally people solve this question is they assumed X and then again X as the gain percentage. So what would be the SP? SP would be X plus x by 100 into x should be equal to 144. He got a quadratic from here. He'll solve the quadratic and find out the final answer. I'm telling you, do not do it like this. 144, right? Divide 144 into two parts, A and B, such that A into B is definitely 144 and A minus B is 10. So these are the conditions when there is a gain. When there is a loss of same percentage, the only change becomes is this becomes A plus B is equal to 10. Simple change. So this is for gain. When there is a loss, it would be A plus B is equal to 10. So try to find out what A and B could be. You can pause the video. Meanwhile, I'll solve it for you. So 144, right? 2 times 72, 2 times 36, 2 times 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 3. So this is 8 and this is 18, right? So what if I say A is 18, B is 8? What is 18 times 8, guys? 18 times 8 is 144. So the first condition is satisfied. And what is 18 minus 8? 18 minus 8 is 10. Second condition is also satisfied. So you have to choose the factors in a way that these two conditions are satisfied. Now what would be your x? It's nothing but, what is the smaller value here? 18 or 8? 8 is the smaller one, right? 8 is the smaller one, right? So put 0 next to it. 80 is your answer. As simple as that. Wasn't it tricky? It was, right? So you simply have to find out A and B such that A into B is 144 and A minus B is 10. And whatever the smaller you get, A or B, whichever is smaller, put 0 next to it and that would be your answer. The cost price of the article or the profit, same thing. And when there is a loss, only change is in case of loss, the first condition is same. The second condition is not A minus B is equal to 10. The second condition is A plus B is equal to 10. Simple as that. So guys, let me just remind you again. If you still have doubts, you can definitely reach out to us as in the comment section. And yes, the top 3 comments on this particular video will get the online classes or the Prime Video course for Cognizant for free, right? So make sure that you keep on commenting. Okay, a question from calendars. A very interesting question, a lengthy question for most of you guys. Won't be a lengthy question once I will solve it for you. But yes, before that, let me give you 1 minute's time. I know even 1 minute is less for you guys. You people waste somewhere around 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes to solve this particular question. But the actual allotted time for you is 30 seconds. I'll teach you the best way today to solve questions from calendars. But before that, just give it a try. Your timer for a minute starts now. What normally people do here is, they'll find the number of odd days till 2000. They'll find the number of odd days from 2001 to 2005. They'll find the total number of odd days in January plus February plus March plus April. Then in the fourth step, they'll find the number of odd days till 28th of May and they'll find out the answer. That's what normally people do, right? That's what most of you would have done, right? And yes, the answer you've got here from here is Sunday, because the number of odd days is 0. Now let me tell you a very cool way of solving this problem. Rather than solving it in pages and solving it in 3-4 steps, only thing that I suppose you to remember is this: January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. You just have to remember a 12-digit code and one very small formula, and you will be able to find out answers hardly in 20 seconds. The code is 033 61462 5035. This is what you are supposed to remember, a 12-digit number. It will take you a day or two. Try to repeat it 3-4 times and you will be easily able to remember it. Once you have remembered it, the formula that you have to remember is D plus M plus Y plus Ly divided by 7. That's the formula. Now we'll see how is this applicable. Now one important thing, so yeah, before that, so what would be D? The date is 28th May, so D would be 28. What would be M? The month is May, so you'll try to put it 5. That is wrong. That is where you have to use the code. For May, the code is 1, right? So write 1 here. Plus Y. So now Y is a little tricky, guys. So this particular funda or the concept is applicable for any year which is beyond 1900. So for example, if you are calculating a day which is 1950, in the year 1950, Y would be basically 1950 minus 1900. So Y would be 50. If you are calculating 2006, so you will do 2006 minus 1900. So whatever the year is, subtract 1900 from it and the remainder. What is the remainder? 106. So your Y would be 106. What is leap year? Leap year would be basically 106, right? Divide 106 by 4. 4 2s are 8, and so 2 is the remainder, 26. Again 6 4s are 24. 2. So whatever this quotient is, 26 is what you got, right? So your leap year would be 26. The total divided by 7. What is the total here, guys? 106 plus 26. So 132. 162 minus 1 is 161. So what is 161 by 7? Remainder when 161 is divided by 7. The remainder is 0. Yes. And what is the day of the week when the remainder is 0? Remainder is 0 means the number of odd days is 0. 0 odd day means Sunday. 1 odd day is Monday, 2 odd days is Tuesday, 3 odd days is Wednesday, and so on, right? 6 odd days is Saturday. Again, 7 cannot be odd day, right? Because you are dividing by 7, so you can never get a remainder which is greater than 6. Again, when the remainder is 0, it will be a Sunday. Cool? So I hope you liked this, right, guys? If you really liked it, do comment down in the comment section and let us know. Talking about the next question, a question from averages. Yes, you can say that. So I'm giving you guys 30 seconds over here and your timer starts now. Okay, guys. So in a T20 cricket match, so in T20 cricket match, how many overs are there? 20 overs. For people who are football fans and who might not know about cricket at all, so I'm telling it for them, right? So 20 overs. A team needs to chase a score of 184 runs. So basically the team needs to make 184 runs in 20 overs. The strike rate of opening batsmen Mike and Bob are 180 and 150 respectively. Mike and Bob, the strike rate are 180 and 150 respectively. Mike has faced 10 balls, whereas Bob has faced 20 balls. Yes. So then how many runs were scored by them? Now, so this is what they have done. So what is the required run rate for the team to win the match, right? So tell me one thing, if the strike rate is 180 for Mike and he played 10 balls, so how many runs did he score? So strike rate means for every 100 balls, his strike rate was 180, right? So he scored 180 runs every 100 balls. So for every 10 balls, he'll score 18 runs, right? Talking about Bob, so every 100 balls he scored 150 runs. That is what strike rate means. The strike rate is 200. That means every 100 balls he scored 200 runs, means every ball he scored 2 runs. If his strike rate is 150, that means every 100 balls he scored 150 runs. So every 10 balls he scored 15 runs. So he played 20 balls. So that means he scored 30 runs. Yes. So that means how many balls they totally played till now? 30 balls. And they scored 48 runs. What do you mean by 30 balls, guys? Every over has 6 balls, right? So 5 overs, they scored 48 runs. Total 20 overs, they needed 184 runs. So how many overs are left? 15 overs are left. Because 20 were total, 5 they already played. So 15 overs are left. How many runs are required? 184 minus 48 runs are required. So what is 184 minus 48, guys? 136 runs are required in 15 overs. So 15 into 9 is 135, right? So the strike rate, that is actually run rate that is needed for them, is approximately 9 per over. Yes. So guys, that's all we have from today's lecture. I hope you liked it. Do not forget to comment down in the comment section and get a chance to win the Prime Video course for Cognizant for free. Yes. So the Cognizant Prime Video course includes all the topics that are asked in the Cognizant aptitude test, be it the logical part or the aptitude part or the coding part or the verbal part. We also help you out with the resume building and the interview preparation. We give you lectures and we give you mock tests for it. So the link to purchase the Cognizant Prime Video course is available in the description of the video. And yes, we also have a special coupon code for all the viewers, YouTube viewers. So you can go and check that out also in the description of the video. And go grab it soon because the coupon might expire soon. Apart from that, we have also launched our Royal Pass, which actually includes access to each and everything that is available on PrepInsta. So with Royal Pass, you actually get access to 30 plus company specific Prime videos. You get access to all the mock tests available on PrepInsta. You get access to C, C++, Python, DSA and more nano degrees that will be launched in the future. You also get certifications for all the nano degree courses that you complete. And this entire package would cost you around 50 to 60,000 if you buy it individually from PrepInsta. But as we have made a single bundle out of it, we are giving it on a very smaller price of rupees 4444. And yes, we also have a special coupon code for you guys, which is available in the description of the video, and that will give you some further discount onto that. So the link to purchase the Royal Pass and the coupon code both are available in the description as well, right? Apart from that, guys, do not miss out on any of the placement related update, and not to miss out on that means you have to join all our social media handles, which is WhatsApp, Telegram and Instagram, the link to which is again available in the description of the video, right? And yes, last but not the least, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on to the bell icon so that you never miss out on any important video that we share with you guys. So that's all we have from today's lecture, guys. Thank you so much. We'll get in touch with you again in the next video. Thank you.